Welcome back to another episode of the PO3 Podcast, episode 36. My name is Marcus Marks, and this is the podcast where we don't look down unless there's money on the ground. And then beside me,
yeah, just John here, but
just John.
I'm mostly on the ground because you always find money. One of the best pieces of advice my grandma gave me growing up. She's like, always look where you're walking, you'll find money. Dude, and I found some pretty good amounts of money just walking around looking at the floor.
I think the most I found was like $20.
I found like, I think around $100 at EDC.
Wow.
Yeah, there was Major Lazer was playing and they had like these big cannons and they shot out fake money. And it was like their faces on the, the portrait portion of the bill.
Mm-hmm.
Then like $50,000 was like the amount. And that was like shot out of cannons. So it was like littered everywhere. And I just happened to be walking by, looking at the ground like my grandma taught me. I was like, wait, those look like real bills. And sure enough, I started grabbing, I kept looking, but I just kept finding money on the floor. And I remember when I didn't have any pockets in the shorts that I was wearing. So I had all these bills in my hands. I was like, damn, there's a 20 right there. I was like, but if I don't want to like, oh no, it was like a wad of 5 or something like that, right? And I was like, I don't want to drop a 20 to pick up a 5 and lose money. So I was like, I'm just going to let it be. So I just kept walking. And I didn't end up counting the cash. It was like just around $100. That was like one time.
Yeah. I think the most I ever found was like $20. That's dope though. Like anytime you find money on the floor, it's a good feeling.
Yeah. I think though, I know for a fact that had there been like a wallet attached to it, I would have returned
way
it.
different.
It was just like loose cash that you have no way of really pinpointing, who it came from.
So if you return a wallet and say there's like $1,000 in there, you're gonna ask for like 5?
No.
Like, hey man, no tip on Home Alone. He gives them the gum.
No, I think usually people do that kind of stuff. But...
Oh, no thanks. I still got some tip left. No. Wait. Anyway, yeah. So her motto was the opposite. Always look down.
Yeah,
because there's money on the ground.
Pretty much.
We don't look down. Meaning like don't just keep your head up. You know what I'm saying? No matter what you're going through, keep your head up. So you know how on the last episode that we had, I was discussing how I was about to start my meds and everything, and how I was like really, really scared. So I ended up doing it, and I was gonna do it the day of that podcast, but I didn't know how it was gonna affect me, and it was late, and I wanted to start it early in the morning, so I waited till the next day. So that was kind of a weight off my shoulders. So the next day comes, and I'm anticipating it. I'm like, all right, what time am I gonna do this? Because you have to take it at the same time every day. I was like, I think 11 o'clock is good for me, just because I don't want it to be too early where I'm gonna forget, and I don't want it to be too late where I'm gonna forget. So right in the middle, So I chose 11 o'clock. So I'm sitting there, and it's like 9 o'clock, and I couldn't sleep the night before just because I was anxious and I knew I was gonna have to do this. And I come to the living room and I get online with my uncle, and I was like, hey, let's play Warzone because I need to just hang out with me today. Like, I'm not doing nothing today. I'm not going to work out. I'm just going to hang out here at the house because I'm not sure how this stuff's going to affect me. And I was like, I just need you here for moral support. So we're playing for a couple hours, and then 11 o'clock rolls around. I go out and I buy my little pill tablet like Monday through Friday because I forget to take my regular supplements like all the time. Like I take digestive enzymes after my meals, and I'm constantly forgetting to take those. So I was like, I need to make sure that I have a way to remember this because these are serious pills. Like, you can't just miss a dose. You can't skip. You can't take too much. Like, you have to be really calculated at this in order for it to work correctly, and so you don't have like major side effects. So I went and bought out the pill tab, like the old and the what's it called, like the old ladies have on their
like
their
Monday to
nightstands.
Sunday. Yeah.
So I bought one of those, and I came back here. I was like, all right, man, it's getting real. Like, so like 11 or 10:30 rolls around, and I was like, hey man, it's coming up. Like, I'm getting nervous. Like, my palms started getting sweaty, dude.
Mom, spaghetti.
I said that, and because I blogged it.
Oh, really?
I said it. My aunt said the same thing. She's like, Mom, spaghetti. I was like, I said it already. So 11 o'clock rolls around. I was like, all right, man, this is it. Turn the camera on, and I'll probably insert the clip of me actually taking it because I think you could see like the fear on my face. At least I feel like you could. All right. It's 11 o'clock. That's when I told myself I was going to do this. Got my little pill thing set up here. Fucking scared, man, but I gotta do what I gotta do. I don't want to do this, but I know I have to. I gotta give it a chance. I'm just right here hanging out with my uncle online, playing some Call of Duty. He's gonna hang out with me for the majority of the day, because I want to remain stationary, make sure there's no serious side effects, and I don't know what to expect of this. I really don't. But shout out Luhan Gaming for, hanging out with me today. It's gonna mean a lot, because I'm not showing it, but I'm fucking scared, man. I really am. I'm on the edge of the cliff and I gotta jump. I don't want to do this. I'm gonna throw the headphones on so he can talk to me. Alright, Mike, I'm doing it right now. Yeah, this is my first time, so wish me luck. We don't look down unless there's money on the ground, right? Oh, okay. Here it is. This little guy right here. I'm shaking. I'm literally shaking. I'm shaking. Oh my god, this is scary. Here it goes. I did it. I did it. Please just send your positive vibes. Yeah. My heart's racing. My heart is racing. From anxiety. I haven't had an anxiety attack in a long time. I don't plan on having one today. I've learned over the years how to control it, but this is just on a whole nother level as far as, mental toughness goes. Just because this is a type of thing that there's a reason I'm scared of this shit in the first place, because I went through something like this as a kid, so I just don't want this shit to fuck me up. So I'm scared of. I never thought I'd see the day where I did that. Or have to do that. For me, this was my biggest fear. My biggest fear. This was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And I know people go through this shit all the time, every day. And they're on way, people go through chemotherapy and have it a lot harder than I do. And I know I'm being a pussy, but this is what scares me. This is my fear. And you're watching me face it head on right now. I'm proud of myself for doing it, but it's just the beginning. But I wanted to share this with people because I think it's important to let others know who are going through the same thing that they're not alone.
So you vlogged this whole thing,
I vlogged me ingesting it and the moments working up to it, and probably maybe 10 minutes into it. And then I did a couple clips where I'm describing how I feel about it. Because it was basically what I did was I faced my biggest fear. That was my biggest fear. Putting something in my system that's going to mess with my brain chemistry again. And this has been weighing on me for, I gotta say, since 16, man. In a big way. So I faced my fear, dude. And like I said, I'll probably insert the clip. So today is officially a week since I've been on it. And I actually bumped the dose today, or last night, actually. So now I'm moving up in the dosages. And those first 2 days, man, that I was on it, first day I didn't really feel anything. I was just freaking myself out, trying to forget about it, talk myself down. And the second day, I just got really tired. I never take naps or anything like that. I ended up taking like a 2-hour nap, dude. I was down for the count. I still worked out though because I wanted to get active, get my blood flowing. And then the third day or the second night, fell asleep, and all night, dude, no joke, like the dreams I was having were
Like vivid?
so intense and vivid and abnormal, man. Like I'm talking, you can tell these dreams were induced and due to pharmaceuticals, like some type of drug, right? I could just tell, like, it felt like I didn't sleep because as soon as I left this world, I was right into just another world.
So was this the dreams? Was that like a condition that was already like you were advised of that was a potential?
I didn't know this. No.
Your doctor didn't describe it. Any of the research you've done?
No, I looked it up though, and usually with SSRIs or mood stablers, you're gonna get stuff like that.
Okay.
And I went and even looked on YouTube and like looked up videos of like dreams from the medicine
But this
I'm
is
taking.
after the fact.
This was 3 days into it.
Okay.
Yeah, so like that's kind of when I knew like, all right, this stuff's getting into my system now. Because prior to that, like I said, I only felt fatigue and tiredness. But the second night and going into the third day, those dreams, man, were just crazy. And I woke up at like 4 a.m. from a because it woke me up like it was lucid. It was like something crazy, and they were like nightmarish dreams too. It wasn't like good dreams. They were. I remember waking up. It was like 4 a.m. and I woke up out of my sleep. I was like, holy crap. If I can take what I just dreamt about and put it into a movie form or a script, it would be crazy, dude. It was that nuts. And it freaked me out a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't like those dreams. I'd rather just black out. You know what I mean? I don't mind it so much because I kind of like crazy. If they're good dreams, though, but like abnormal, weird ones. And it just keeps you up, you know? And then I woke up at like 5 a.m. and then 7. I just kept waking up all night. So I was just like done the next day. I was so tired. And that night, the third day, we were watching TV, and it was probably 8 o'clock or something like that at night. And I was just sitting there freaking myself out, laying on the bed, just thinking of all the side effects. And of course, I go and Google stuff. And I'm laying there, and my fiance is like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, 10 minutes go by, and I'm just still like staring off into space. And then she's like, well, "All right," pauses the TV. And she's like, "All right, what's wrong?" I was like, "I don't think I want to do this." I was like, it doesn't feel right. Like, I don't want to do this. I never wanted to do this. It's not too late to just start getting off of it because I'm only 3 days into it. Getting off of it will be so easy. I don't necessarily know if what I'm going to be gaining from this or if it's even going to work is worth the side effects if they do happen, because there's serious deadly side effects. There's a black box warning on these medications. I don't want to do it anymore. I want to get off. And I pretty much made up my mind that night, right? Next day rolls around, and I was like, and that night too, I was like, weight off my shoulder, right? I thought like I was out of it. Like, all right, cool. I don't got to worry about it anymore. The next day came around, and I don't know what came over me, man. I was like, you know what? I'm scared, but I refuse to like live in fear, man. Like, I gotta see this through. I have to push through this. Like, I got to give it a shot, man. Because I went back and I looked at all my vlogs where I'm super depressed. And I thought back to like all the times I was getting into fights with people and picking fights with my fiance because I was depressed and having her worried about me and being out, like all this stuff, man. I just started thinking about it. And I'm just like, I have to try. I have to. Like, I can't, like, yeah, I'm scared, but I got to do this. Like, I don't have a choice. You know, I got to see it through. So I just kept doing it, dude. I was like, all right, well, I'm sticking to it now. I officially made up my mind. So now I'm going down that path. And like I said, today's day 7, and I bumped the dose already. So
How you feeling?
It's too soon to tell, man. I don't know.
I mean, what about the dreams? Have they continued? Or
They're pretty
down?
vivid still, but I mean, it is what it is, you know. I guess I'll take it.
When you looked it up, did they indicate that the dreams would like eventually taper off and from that, like, I don't know,
From
abnormal type?
From the comments that I read, no. But it varies from person to person. So, and then in the comments too, some people like it. They're like, I enjoy them. And then some people are like, I could do without. And then some people are just like, it is what it is, you know? And that's kind of where I'm at. Like I said, if it's a cool dream, I'll take it. But when it starts getting abnormal and nightmarish, it's like, is it so real where you can't really decipher? Because a lot of the comments too were reading like, the dreams are so vivid and clear, I'm starting to have false memories because I can't differentiate whether that was a memory from the dream or if it really happened. You know, that's how clear the dreams were becoming. But that was kind of like, so far, the only thing that I don't like about it. But like I said, it's still too soon to tell. I'm starting to bump the dose now, and I'm getting further into it, so I don't know yet.
Is there an approximate time that they have where you'll start to notice some sort of cognitive difference between your medicated self and non-medicated self?
I want to say about 4 weeks to a month. Well, 4 weeks is a month, but 4 weeks to like 2 months or something like that. And then you should start noticing a difference. But here's the thing too. Everyone's system is different and more susceptible, or at least susceptible to these medications, right? So somebody that has maybe mild symptoms will be fine on the smallest dose of this medication, right? But somebody who has it more severe cases, they might need. So put it in perspective. I started off at 25 milligrams. The smallest you can go, or the least amount, is 12.5. So you would just chop that in half. But I'm starting off at 25, and her goal is to, like, I think 150 for me
per day.
Yeah, 150 milligrams per day, and then but some people are at like 300. So it just depends. So I don't know, man. I feel like it could be a little bit of placebo effect, or maybe these, because they're in my system now, and I know that they're taking effect, and
Well,
I feel less snappy. I don't know. It could just be me, like I said, the placebo effect.
So a better, even like a good positive effect.
Yeah, so far, but like I don't know if it's just placebo effect.
I mean, what difference would it make?
Right? For all I know, they are placebos. You know, they could just be doing a test run. Like,
I believe there's a lot of red tape that goes around. You'd have to be advised that you're in an experimental
double-blind placebo test.
But no, I mean, I would assume, obviously, the higher the dosage, the more dramatic the effects. Therefore, the more noticeable the effects are to you. But if you go from, well, you said you start off at 25.
Yeah. Now I'm at 50.
And you're at 50, so you're at double what you started off. That's basically a third of where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I'd say it's a pretty good indication of, like, it's working. It's not like you're taking 12 and a half.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's like minimal. You know?
Yeah, and I didn't start feeling this way until maybe like yesterday, the day before.
But so when you said like less snappy, like
go ahead.
You're more chill, or like things that would normally set you off don't set you off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like that. Like way less irritable. I'll put it that way too. Because usually, like, just for example, like say I'm cooking dinner, and I've done this many a times. I spill my food or whatever on accident, or I make a mess unintentionally, right? Spill a drink. Normally, if I'm already feeling irritable and in a depressed state, I'm snapping, dude. Like, I'm snapping. Like, for example, Warzone. Like, when I start getting my ass handed to me, I'll throw my controller, dude, and just be like, man, fuck this game. You know what I mean?
You're a gamer, bro.
I know, but like, I can tell, like, I shouldn't be over little things snapping like that. But I played it recently, yesterday, and here's what I did. Got my ass handed to me. Why am I even playing this? I just put it down, dude. I literally just, like, you know, Evan, Superbad. I can't even win this. Why am I fucking playing this? Yeah. That was me, dude. I was like, but in my head, I didn't realize that's what I did. I just kind of, like, after the fact, I was like, oh, wow, I didn't get mad. Like, somebody made a hilarious joke yesterday. There was Steve-O. And I was watching a podcast he was on, and they were talking about differences in, like, Zoloft, right? He's like, I'm on Zoloft now. And he's like, for me, it just works. And he was talking about another comedian friend of his saying that, yeah, man, I don't, like, it's different for everybody. But the funny thing about Zoloft is I don't think about killing myself when I'm on it. Like, he was like, that's the good part. He was like, yeah, you don't get those thoughts. Like, because a lot of people like me have the propensity to just the first thing they dive into is those deep negative thoughts. And when you're on medication, it's supposed to mitigate that and reduce the likeliness that you're going to have these thoughts.
The medication you're taking, is it for depression or is it for the bipolar disorder?
It's bipolar. So it's a mood stabilizer. So the treatments for bipolar and depression are way different. So somebody who's getting treated for depression would only receive an SSRI, which is an antidepressant. So if they diagnose you with depression, but you're really bipolar, it's going to trigger your mania and make it even worse. So they have to be very careful at diagnosing you.
So again, it goes back to being truthful during your questioning when they're trying to diagnose you properly.
So I knew all this stuff, right? That's why I was so thorough about receiving treatment, because I wanted to make sure, even though I've been diagnosed 3 times, that I was getting the right diagnosis, because I knew that potentially I could be treated wrong, right? So I wanted to take the right path and make sure that my treatment plan is according to my real diagnosis, right? So another way that they kind of figure it out is if you don't respond to certain medications, then they kind of roll it out, right? They can just be like, all right, well, it's not that. Just cancel that one out. Let's try the next thing, you know? And in rare cases, you just take the meds and they work. But in most cases, though, from what I hear, it takes around a year or two to kind of dial it in.
And this is for depression or trying to discern
mental illness.
Okay. So you still have some road ahead of you. It's not just taking the meds.
Here's the thing, man. I don't know. This stuff might work and I might be good. And my body might become immune to it, or, you know, build up a tolerance for it. And I might having to keep bumping. That was another thing. Might having to keep bumping the dose. I didn't want to get to a point where, which obviously if it works, I'm going to have to rely on this for one, because what if I'm in a situation where I don't have access to my medication? It's going to be very bad, because you're going to have severe side effects from it, because you have to keep taking it. And when you get off of them, you have to wean off of them.
Well, I mean, okay, so you say you don't have access, or a potential point in your life where you may not have access to medication. Why wouldn't you have your medication, and how long is that window?
I'm just saying, just like for whatever reason, I don't know. Just,
like if the world were to end?
Yeah, just something like that. I mean, that's just me thinking crazy, but like, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. You never know. I just want to, it just, for me, having to be reliant on something is just something I don't like. You know, that's why I've always just said, let me just deal with this naturally. You know, but obviously that didn't work. So I'm trying, I'm taking this route.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like there's certain things you can't do naturally. You know, this is literally the chemistry that makes up your brain. So if you are missing or getting less than you should of a particular ingredient, or, you know what I'm saying, that would make you otherwise not, you know, have bipolar disorder or depression, there's nothing you can do that's going to supplement that hole that's there that's causing these issues. You would have to go through with medication to...
So I'll go into that a little bit in the book, because there's different treatment routes. But going back to your question again, because I didn't really answer it. What it's supposed to do is different from SSRIs, because SSRIs just treat the depression, pull you out of it a little bit. What this does is it doesn't really turn you into a zombie like an SSRI would. It kind of because a lot of medications will take away your personality a little bit, and just kind of like when things happen, you're just kind of like a duck in water. Like it just kind of rolls off your shoulders, right? The water. And with this, it's supposed to be able to just, I'm still able to feel like normally, but my highs and lows are just kind of like tapered out, you know, where I'm more in the middle now. Like I'm not going to go up here and down here all the time. So I'm still living regular, you know, and I can still respond to something if you piss me off, right? Or just, you know, life stuff. But little things aren't going to it's supposed to not be able to set you off anymore. It's supposed to do that for you. At least that's what I've read, you know. But like I said, everyone's different though. But it's supposed to help you maintain your personality still and not take that away and make you a zombie. So that's a really good thing, because I didn't want to be walking around like a zombie. I was like, if this changes me and changes my personality, I'm going to have to find something different, because I don't want to lose that. You know, I want to still be, you know, silly and stuff and make jokes of everything and still like go throughout my day and have a positive outlook on things, you know. I don't want to be dark. Sense. Yeah. So, I mean, that's where I'm at, dude.
If, let's say this medication or a potential future one has those effects where it does remove a slice of your personality, and you don't like that, you identify that, and you want to not let that continue, will coming off the medication like restore that sliver, or is it going to be permanently gone?
Oh, I'm sure that you get it
You
back.
get it back,
Right?
okay.
I'm sure.
I mean,
that,
obviously, there's probably a case by case scenario like everything else, but like
yeah.
majorly speaking,
Yeah. So like in certain cases, like even with this medication, some people's memories will be affected, and sometimes it's not as good as it used to be. But I think those are like in rare occasions, because they obviously try to design this stuff to help you. That's the whole purpose. I read that somewhere too, like on a med forum or something like that. It's like they design this stuff to help you. They don't want to turn you into a zombie. Like they're gonna do everything they can. At least I hope so. The people that are creating
to have the desired effects, with
exactly
minimizing the potential side effect, where losing memory, losing who you are, basically.
Yeah, because when you listen to all those commercials on like Abilify or something like that, at the end there's always that dude like with all the side effects. It's like,
I mean, these are potential.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That way, in the unlikely event that it takes place, you shouldn't be surprised. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like,
And I've
so-
done my homework on this stuff, man, and I was so hesitant because I know how serious it can be. Like I was watching a documentary on I think it was like ayahuasca or something like that. But there was a story of this dude, and I've told this story before, and it's been a while, so I don't know if I'll get it right, but I
Mental
forget.
illness.
I have the clip somewhere in a previous podcast. Maybe I could just plug it in here.
Okay.
That would probably be better just because I butchered that and I forget. I was watching a Netflix documentary called Unwell, and there was an episode on ayahuasca and how it affects certain people. And there was a segment where this dude, he was completely stressed out at work, but he had no signs of mental illness or anything like that. He just said he was stressed out.
Mhm.
He didn't mention anything about harming anybody. So they put him on some kind of SSRI, the ones that come with the black box warning. And long story short, he ended up killing his wife's daughter and himself
Damn.
with no sign of any mental illness history in his family or anything like that. He just said he wasn't feeling well one day, got on some SSRIs, and a couple weeks later, that incident happened. And they think it's directly due to the SSRIs and how it affected him. And it really scared me off of mine because the reason I didn't want to take mine in the first place was because it had one of those black box warnings.
Yeah.
Because it was a while back. I'm talking like episode probably like 10, 11.
Okay.
So it's been a while, but I wish I could recall these stories better because it's really interesting. But it did have to do with that, with him committing suicide. So, but I don't know, man. Go ahead.
On that topic, the suicide thing. If you guys, you could probably plug the number in somewhere here on the
NAMI.
screen.
See, we used to plug NAMI, and it was National Alliance on Mental Illness, and we used to plug the number in right there in case anybody's dealing with this type of stuff. Obviously call 911, but like we do plug the.
Well, they have the suicide hotline number. I don't know it offhand, but
Yeah,
maybe you can find it, plug it into the video, put it somewhere here on the screen.
Yeah.
That way, if people are struggling with it, they could, make phone calls and
But yeah,
get
dude,
the help they need.
yeah, it's very important. Like if you need it, just please seek help. And I'll plug the number right here. But yeah, man, it's like I said, it's been 7 days now, and I'm feeling more positive about it. Like I said, it's too early to tell, but I'm gonna maintain my positive outlook on this thing, and I just hope that it's gonna help. Because it's a long road, man.
Like I said, I mean, would you say there was like a 6% chance it's not gonna work, or was that specifically for the
No,
black
that
box?
was for okay. So it was a 6% chance that there's a deadly side effect that you would develop this side effect called Steve Johnson syndrome.
Okay, so
where your skin falls off. It
Okay.
starts with a rash, and then
So was there did you ever give a percentage where there was a likelihood of it having the desired effects, or it's just kind of hit and miss?
yeah, hit and miss. I did look for stats like that. Like, all right, what are the stats here of like on both ends, negatives and positives? I couldn't find any percentages or anything like that. Everything is just all forums and stuff and YouTube comments, and like you kind of just read other people's stories and stuff, and like, but I got a lot of comments read a lot of comments where it helped people, so that was a good thing. But for me, the most a lot of the paranoia was because of the Steve Johnson syndrome, and then there's a autoimmune disease called HLH that you can develop either getting onto it or most likely when you're coming off of it.
Well, I feel like the biggest thing that's gonna determine like your thing is just kind of like you trying to pay no attention to it because if you're like, it's almost like you're gonna find what you're looking for. If you're looking for those particular side effects, then they may not even be present. This might be your mind playing it. So as best you can, just take it like a multivitamin. You know what I'm saying? Like
That's what I've been doing, man.
And keep it up, man. Don't just try to read too far into it, but also don't try to downplay any potential thing that you're experiencing. Like, nah, it's not that, because it could be something potential that you could have, you know what I'm saying? But
because the biggest side effect with this one, like I said, the Steve Johnson's, but it starts very minimal with the rash. And the way that happens usually is it's going to happen either way because your body has an adverse reaction to it or because you dosed up too quickly. So I was huge on like talking to my doctor about working with me on how we're going to dose this up, because she originally wanted me to start 4 days at 25 milligrams. The next 4 days, she wanted me to go up to 50. And then the next 4 days after that, she wanted me to go to 75, which was, in my opinion, very fast, because the one thing they recommend with this particular medication is be very careful on the way you dose up. Like, you have to do it really slow in order to decrease the likeliness of that deadly side effect. And
now, were the incremental steps that she was recommending, I'm assuming that was within a safe threshold, correct? I'm pretty sure she's not going to be dosing you at a rate that would
I just felt like
lead
it was
you to, developing Steve Johnson syndrome quicker than. I feel like she would know, you know what I'm saying? Like, or do you?
I feel like she would too, because she also said within the 16 years that she's been practicing, she's only seen like 6 or 7 cases of that, right? So those are pretty good numbers. But also, I'm paranoid, But and her thing too was like, at first she was like really like reluctant and kind of like, she was being real firm. And I think if I wasn't in the mind state being vulnerable that I was in, I probably would have got mad at her, because I told her the situation. And she's like, well, I'm not going to reduce the dose just because you want me to reduce the dose and this and that, like coming at me like that, right? And then like the more we started talking, she's like, well, what we can do is like, I'll work with you on this and that. And we eventually came to an agreement of like, all right, look, first 7 days, just 25 and then bump it up, until I see you again.
Would there be like any detrimental effect to the medication's likelihood of actually working if you were to not follow the protocol she initially assigned you?
Everyone's different. Because she mentioned too, and this is what I was thinking, some people just need lower doses, like I said before. So that might work for you. So let's start the lowest and see, and then work our way up. Because also, a lot of people report that their dose is too high, so they got to come down anyway. So you might as well just work your way up and see what works, while at the same time killing two birds with one stone and reducing the likeliness of side effects, right? So my point was like, look, we don't know what's gonna work for me, so let's just dose it up slowly and see what happens versus like trying to put too much on my system. Because, dude, the second day I was down for the count. I was tired. I was out of it, and that was only at 1 pill. And she was recommending that 2 days after that I go up to 50 already, I wanted this stuff into my system and circulating it to the point where, yeah, it's just like a multivitamin now. And that's how it's been these past few days. I'm just popping them and not even really realizing it, I'm just remembering to do it, and that's it. So that's where I'm at. But like, I was just being super thorough, man, and paranoid. And she also was kind of like appreciative of it, that I was able and willing and did do my homework on it, and I was kind of stating a bunch of facts that obviously she already knows, but she was happy I did my homework on it. So, but she worked with me, man. For a second there, though, I didn't like her. I was like, man, this doctor is like, I'll switch doctors if I have to, but she seems like she knows her shit. So
that's good.
But yeah, dude,
I imagine in some level it would be kind of annoying to have someone that does not have the education that you would have and the knowledge that you've acquired over the last 16 years of practicing this particular line of work. Not to mention the schooling you have to go through and to, like, hey, I went on Google and this is what I found.
Yeah, they probably hate that the most.
I'm just like, okay, so I didn't go through all this training,
so you can,
and all this years of being successful at my job, so you can Google in 10 minutes and tell me how to do my job.
It's just funny though, because like everything that they are taught for most part is online. Like, you just got to read into it. It's all from books, right? Like, so if you do enough homework, I'm sure. Like, you ever seen Good Will Hunting? He's like, you just dropped $250,000 on an education that I could have just went down to the public library and got for 50 cents.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the difference between that.
He's like, yeah, but I'll have a degree.
Well, that, and yeah, you're gonna have some way of actually like measuring the amount of stuff and knowledge that you've obtained. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm just saying, I was just throwing that out there because I wonder. I'm sure I would be annoyed.
Yeah.
You know, because I do get annoyed when I have people talk about law enforcement related topics, and they've done a 2-minute Google search, and I've went through a
It is
couple of
annoying.
you know, I'm just
Yeah, I
like,
can imagine.
but in any way, I'm not saying that you were wrong. Just
No.
I bet you that's why she was so like no, it's my way or no way, you know. And then
Yeah, because she sees that I'm being stubborn. She's like, I'm trying to help you, dude. Like, come on, just do what I'm recommending. But also, she doesn't know that the reason I was so reluctant to start medication in the first place was because of a traumatic event that involved putting chemicals into my body, right? And it gave me PTSD. But she didn't know that, right? So she was just like, I don't understand what you're so, reluctant to do this for and hesitant, right? And she was like, dude, like, if you want, we can wait a couple more weeks, and work yourself up to it. And I was like, no, like, there's no more. I've spent enough years working my way towards this. I'm ready to do it now. I just wanted to reach a compromise, like, let's just reach a compromise.
It was more like getting your feet wet versus jumping in 100%, right? Like, you don't want to jump into these crazy doses. You just like, hey, I want to walk and test the waters out slowly.
I think, and I don't think I'm wrong for that.
No, it makes sense. It seems pretty reasonable. My only thing that I already asked you earlier was just kind of like, would you walking into the pool versus jumping into it affect the likelihood of success?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't even think I answered that question either. But she told me too. She's like, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work, but it'll work if you just get to the right dose. I think she wanted it to work within like that time frame. But like, otherwise she wouldn't be prescribing this to me. So it's just like I'm working my way up. But yeah, she did mention like it's not gonna work if we do it this way. So, but I'm gonna talk to her about that and everything. So it's doing something though. It's in there.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're already less irritable, that's a positive outcome.
Now, here's another thing too. I was like, I could be baseline. I could be baseline, just experiencing no symptoms, or the medication's working. So,
well, I mean, you would know what your baseline is.
Yeah, no, and baseline is basically what I'm experiencing now. No symptoms. So, but it's just ironic that I started medication while I'm reaching a baseline. So it's like one or the other, man. It's just very hard to tell, but time will tell. I'm not gonna overthink it. I'm just gonna keep, being positive, like I said. So
there you go, man.
And so the thing that made me kind of want to stop taking the medication is because I started reading this book too. It's by Dr. Daniel G. Amen, and it's called The End of Mental Illness. It's a really good book. I mentioned it to you, remember?
Yeah.
So in this book, like it was cool too, like because his main motto in psychiatry is first do no harm. That's his first thing that he goes to. So
he's an MD, but has a degree in psychiatry.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what he does is rather than, because exactly my concern, I felt like he was speaking to me, right? And that's what a good book or a movie or a song does. It makes it feel like
it resonates.
They're speaking right to you, right? And I felt like this book was speaking right to me. And his whole idea is like, look, we need, because this is crazy, bro, and this is a fact. Psychiatry is the only field where they don't actually examine the organ they're treating. So like if you have a broken arm or a broken foot, the first thing they're going to do is x-ray it and then treat it accordingly. Psychiatry is just like, well, there's something going on in your head. Here's some pills. They don't examine it. So that's his whole thing. The first thing he does is he takes them into the, he gives them there is a difference. It's not a CAT scan. It's something else. It's a SPECT scan. So he made sure that there's a big difference between a CAT scan and a SPECT scan. So he takes them down the route of like, all right, SPECT scan. What he does is he pulls up your images and he can tell within like the indentations of your brain and like the activity of like, all right, there is an issue here. Okay, so here's where, if it's in the, prefrontal cortex, like that's where your emotions and stuff are. Like if it's dented there and it like, all right, some brain trauma did happen here. All right, let's go into your history and see like, were you around chemicals and exposed to them for an extensive period of time? Did you get in any car wrecks? Did you have any concussions? And this, he like questions all this stuff first before he hands you any kind of medication. Because there's an instance in this book where this guy got diagnosed bipolar and he was on medications and it only got worse from there. The medications were helping. He went to Amen clinics, did the SPECT scan, and they found out as they dove into his history, the guy used to be a NASCAR driver and He's had a lot of concussions. He got struck in the head with a baseball when he was young, had a concussion there, and then he was exposed to all those fumes, those exhaust fumes and stuff being around NASCAR. And come to find out, he just had brain trauma. So what they did, he was like, they got him off the medications and they started giving him neuro supplements and changing his diet, exercising, and just basically a lifestyle change. And now he's better. There's like a picture in here of him where it's like before and after, and it's like, dude, you wouldn't even recognize the dude, you know what I mean? And it was because they diagnosed him the wrong way because they didn't treat his, like, look at him, dude. And then there's the SPECT scans right there of like the brain. And you can see the difference. It'll show you healthy brain and like regular brain. Healthy brain and depressed brain, or like a brain that has trauma. And that's crazy, right?
Now this is a potential
what?
Like, not every mental health condition is going to be triggered by some sort of brain trauma.
That's why it's important to look into it, because everyone is different.
Because it could be this guy's situation,
yes,
or it could just be some sort of chemical imbalance.
And in certain cases, he recommends medication.
Yeah, it's a massive difference, though.
Yeah, it recommends medication if necessary, but first do no harm. You know, because that's what all these psychiatrists are so quick to do. Like, dude, you know how many times I went in there and it was like, I saw you for 20 minutes and you want to put me on medication. You don't know anything about me. And I'm just like blown away at the fact that they're so quick to do that for me. You know.
Well, I mean, I would imagine, I think psychiatry, you don't have to have an MD degree to be a psychiatrist. So I could be mistaken. I don't know.
I think you're right, because the dude that I was talking to that was kind of like, he wasn't a psychiatrist. He was like a behavioral health therapist, and he was an idiot. So
that's what I'm saying. So maybe because he's an MD, I think it's MD and MO or there's another type of medical degree you can get.
Okay, yeah, this guy's an actual
MD.
doctor though.
No, they're both doctors, but there's one's MD and there's another one, but they're both allowed to practice medicine and do all that kind of stuff. I forgot what it is. My point being, though, is these guys are both, if he's coming from a medical background, then he's going to want to, he's more so I guess susceptible to wanting to look in for physical traumas. And like you said, these guys in psychiatry often don't examine the organ or the area that's affected prior to administering medication.
Yeah.
They just go right to medication. So this guy coming from his background makes sense that he would approach it that way. Maybe this is what psychiatry needs more of.
No, it does.
Is
100%.
people like him coming from a different, like, let's physically examine this before we start doing that. Because if it's just going to be medication still, but a different type of medication plus,
if necessary,
plus working out, and you go from that dude's first picture to that picture, yeah, I would say that's probably the best route, you know. But I don't know. Maybe that would be the.
I mean, it seems kind of obvious, man. It's just like, look. Because it's like, I'm not going to treat you for a sprained ankle if your back's messed up, you know? It's like, dude, why would let's really take the time to examine you. It just seems like a no-brainer, you know? It just seems like that's what you're supposed to do. Because here's another thing that kind of like backs that, right? It's like he wants to reframe the phrase mental health and rephrase it as brain health. Because that's what it is. You have brain health issues. Your mental is your thoughts and stuff. You know, if you could change your brain, you'll change your life. That's another book that I have here that I got to go into.
Or maybe, so what you're saying is like you got brain health, and then still, I would say, aside of mental health, but that they're being conflated. They're being mushed, you know, smashed into one. When
one affects the other.
No, but what I'm saying is like they're being right now with the way it's titled. You have two different issues that are being smashed into one, and they're both being called one thing, when they're clearly, or at least in this guy's opinion, two separate issues that need two different areas of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes sense. Yeah, brain health.
Yeah, and that, because, dude, what is your brain? It's an organ. It's a muscle.
I wouldn't know about a muscle, but definitely without it, you're not going to be alive. So,
but I'm saying though,
probably the single most important.
It is a tangible part of your being.
Yes, 100%.
It's not. You can't see your mental. But you can physically see your brain and the indentations and the trauma on it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we know that I don't know that. We know that, as in the doctors and the scientists know this, because they've done studies on it that actually show like, hey, you hit your head hard enough, it's going to cause depression, this, and that, you know? So
hold that thought. So this comes up to you guys here to make this channel big so we can get this doctor on the show so we can ask him questions and get his message out there.
Yeah, dude. And because this was a big reason why I was like...
Well, I'm saying because if all this, like, let's say this is the, like, this guy's onto something that's
I think
otherwise very unknown in the medical community or psychiatry community. But this guy holds the key to actually pushing mental health, or in this case, brain health, to a new frontier, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like, it would be great to, like, have this guy's message be put out there so it falls upon the ears that need to be heard, that need to be listening to this kind of stuff so they can try to further it. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I'm glad that you found this information, but if this message doesn't get out to the appropriate people, then it doesn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So this comes out to you guys.
Yeah.
Make the channel big.
Like,
help us do that so we can get this dude on here and we can get his message spread out further.
Like, subscribe, comment. It really helps. Share and anybody who's struggling with this type of thing, just let them know. And like I said, I know that it's sometimes, like on previous episodes, it's gonna be fun and games, but this is kind of the root of my being, and this is what drives me and makes me want to do this type of thing, is because of the stuff that I've been through. And I know that this is gonna resonate with so many people, and a lot of people, including myself, didn't even know about places like this that it actually existed.
Well, and then what the cool thing is, like, maybe this guy's completely wrong.
Yeah, I doubt it. Just
well, I'm not saying, but the thing is, if this kind of stuff gets out there, then we can have people that can refute it, and you can actually have good discourse about this thing. Because, I mean, maybe it worked for this one guy or the couple instances that he's going to describe it here in his book, but maybe they've already looked down this path and then they turned it down for reasons. You know what I'm saying? Or this guy is holding the hidden gem in his pocket that could, help so many people, but his message is only going to be falling to those people that actually purchased the book.
Well, here's a big reason why not everyone does it like I'm in clinics, is because there's not enough money being put into this type of field. There's just not enough money to do it, because all this stuff, it's expensive and it's time consuming, and it's just not in the cards right now. So it's like there needs to be more funding.
Well, you know what? At least from my occupational background, there's a lot more money that's being funded again, but it's for mental health, not. I like the term brain health. If you physically have brain issues, but for the sake of this being, I guess that not being a thing that's changed yet, we'll call it mental health. A lot of money's being thrown out there for mental health because a lot of people are. I don't know if I feel like mental health has always been here. It's just now being recognized and identified. So it seems like it's on the rise, but I think
speaking of that, dude, this has gone back to the 1700s, 1800s, and the treatment routes that they would take are insane, dude. They're barbaric. Like in the 1800s, if they thought you were dealing with this type of stuff, like anybody with schizophrenia, they would literally drill a hole into your head to let the spirits out. Like, dude.
Well, I mean,
the evolution is crazy.
But yes.
So it's always been around, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, because of the stigma, going back, like, no one wants to think that they're crazy. And that's kind of important here, because if we rephrase it and turn it in the phrase mental health into brain health, he said that people begin to see their problems as medical, not moral. So it would become more accepted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, because, I mean, no one wants to be the, a crazy person, and that's why I really like this, being a part of this channel, is because I feel that it truly we're truly trying to alleviate that that stigma, and I feel like we use the word stigma here a lot on this channel, but it couldn't be a more fitting word. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I really feel like we're trying our best and put forth our best efforts to try to alleviate that, because you know what? Whether people want to acknowledge it as a physical condition or a mental condition or a moral condition, as you said, he mentioned here, it still has very physical effects. If that's, if you're being reclusive because of your condition, you don't want to leave your house, you're not getting active, you're either going to be getting obese or getting small. If you physically harm yourself, and I'm saying, like, it does lead to very physical implications if it's not addressed as such. So I really think this book's good, man. Put it out there. I want to take read it myself. Yeah,
I definitely got to spend more time with it. But I wanted to digest it properly. I don't want to just read forward and not understand what I'm taking in, because this is probably going to be the first book that I've read in a long time, but it takes my interest. I started reading it the other day, and I found myself just flying through the pages and not even realizing that I was reading, but it's because I was highlighting stuff, and actually I'm studying rather more than reading, I feel like I'm studying it like I would for a test. So, but I feel like it's definitely got some gems in here, and I've yet to get into the part where they go into like the treatment aspect of it. He's kind of like giving his accounts on certain instances that would happen, and kind of letting you know the history of mental or brain health, as far back as the 1700s, and it's crazy, man. Like,
hashtag, by the way, hashtag brain health.
Yeah, actually, that's a good one right there. Hashtag brain health, and then it's crazy just the treatments that they would give people, dude. It was just barbaric. Like I said, like they used to like give people leech treatment, so they put a bunch of leeches on their body to bleed them out. To bleed them out and stuff. Like it goes back to like what Michael Phelps is doing for like the cupping and stuff. Like when they started seeing like the evidence of like cupping, right? That was kind of like the same thing right there that they were trying to do.
As barbaric as it might be, to me it's just like, even then we didn't know anything about it, and yet they were still trying, as gruesome as it may be, trying to help people. Whether what I'm saying, like,
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard to say, like, hey, good job for drilling a hole in some dude's head, but it's like,
but there was
they didn't know, like, well, I don't know, let's figure out a way to make this go away.
In the book, though, it says in here like there were certain asylums that if anyone in their family was diagnosed with whatever, because they used to think that there were witches back then.
Mm-hmm.
So if they diagnosed them as a witch, then they would track down anybody in their family, and they put them in these asylums, and they would torture them. Like, that's what they would do to these people.
Was it torture in the sense of just trying to torture them?
Legit.
Or
like legit torture, right? Like they would probe them and stuff, and like that's what would happen to these people. So no wonder there's a stigma on it, and no one spoke up about it back then.
Yeah,
right? Because you literally don't want to die from this.
And then have your whole family basically imprisoned for the
Yeah, which was cool though, because not cool in that, I mean, change it back, but back then, Abraham Lincoln, he struggled like severely with depression, but it just goes to show you like,
the great feats you can still accomplish.
Exactly. But there's a cool thing. When it was discovered that Abe Lincoln had been treated for depression, he was asked to step down from McGovern's political ticket only 18 days after his nomination. Ever since this dark national memory, mental health issues have been considered lethal in political circles. So it's like, anybody dealing with this type of stuff, now they're just not going to speak up about it, because most likely if they find out, you're going to get kicked.
It's like career suicide, political suicide.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. But again, a person that's suffering with depression went on to liberate slaves.
That's what it says here. It says Lincoln's depression was indeed a character issue. It gave him the tools to save the nation, you know, because he came from struggle. He knew what it was like to be down. He understood the nation and therefore fixing it.
But again, I imagine the methods they were taking to treat him were nothing compared to what we have today, and yet he was still able to go on and do these incredible things.
Oh yeah, he mentions in here in the book, it was the worst time of his life,
the treatment aspect of it.
Yes, okay. Yeah, it was the worst thing that he's ever endured. Obviously, because it was way back then. I forget what year Lincoln, but it was back then, so it was a long time ago. But yeah, it's completely different, So we got it easy, We have it way easier, and I'm glad that it's headed in this direction, though, because you need a place to go that's going to accommodate your emotions, and the way you feel and your brain health.
I don't know if we talked about this off air, or if it was something we discussed during the podcast. But it's crazy to me that here we are going through our day-to-day business, and yet you have people like this doctor here out here doing these, these spec scans and trying to treat people's mental health as a physical condition and identifying it so they get the proper treatment.
Yeah.
It's just, there's great minds out there. And that's what I'm saying. Like, every subscription, share that you guys do, bring stuff like this to light, and therefore informs people of people like this doctor's existence and the work that they're out there doing. And that way it might fall upon the right person that gets more funding, that makes this work explode, and therefore helping more people. And then again, changing it from, I think, from mental to brain health is
Hashtag brain health.
You know, is a massive thing because I wonder how many people. I wonder if there's a huge disparity between people that have just well, I don't say regular, but what we think of as mental health versus traumatic brain injury. I wonder if there's a big disparity between the two numbers. Like how many of these people suffered traumatic brain injuries that led them to have these mental health issues versus those that just chemical imbalances that was nothing that was caused by trauma. I want to know how big that number would be.
I'm sure that number would surprise the hell out of a lot of people because how many car accidents are there a year? And in those car accidents, people receiving serious brain trauma through those accidents, you know, or sports, concussions, you know. I mean, you've seen the Aaron Hernandez documentary of the CTE that he developed. It was like one of the worst they'd ever seen. And it changed him, you know, it made him a legit psychopath, right? Like he lacked empathy and everything, well, at least according to the documentary, but due to severe brain injuries.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I want to know if it's a small percentage of people or actually a lot bigger than we would even
I think it's
begin to think.
I think it's a lot bigger. People they kind of write it off like as, you know, concussions is like, well, I'm better now, not knowing that's just the beginning of your decline, you know, in a lot of cases. Because there was this dude named Jeff Wittick, and I don't even know anything about him, but I just came across him on this guy's channel. And what happened to him was, long story short, he used to think that depression and anxiety and stuff was like a joke. He didn't really take it seriously. He's like, man, that shit ain't real. And then he ended up almost dying from a traumatic brain injury. He slammed his head against an excavator. He was swinging on a rope. The dude stopped the excavator, and he went bam right into it on this side of his head. He had a full orbital blowout. He had a severe concussion, internal bleeding, all that. And then shortly after his recovery, like they put plates in there, he's had to have all kinds of surgeries, but he started noticing like, I'm not feeling right. Like I started getting depressed, started developing anxiety and PTSD and all this stuff. And then ended up at Dr. Almond's clinic for depression, right? He was like, damn, I feel like bad now because I used to talk down on this type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am receiving help for it. And all the proceeds from this video are going to go towards mental health. And then they plug NAMI. And so it was just like, it goes to show, man, like it's just one of those things. You just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not real, you know?
Or just because you're not dealing with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I said. I think one of the things I like about what we provide here on the channel is, you know, I don't know that I suffer from anything, you know, mental or brain health, so to speak, you know. But in you know, being open about your diagnosis and your steps to, you know, rectifying that problem as much as we can, it gives black and white contrast or a yin and yang contrast.
I love that, dude. I love the fact that you're learning about it. And
yeah, and so I like that we're able to like I feel comfortable enough with you to ask questions that might otherwise people wouldn't feel comfortable asking. You know what I'm saying? We're able to provide that here, and it helps people understand like, hey, just because you don't deal with it per se, or maybe you might find out through this that you might actually have something going on that you weren't even aware of because you start describing the things that you're feeling and your day-to-day existence, and it's like, hey, actually, I go through that, and maybe that I could miss something for me to go talk to someone. We can look into it, you know. But like that guy, you know, he didn't. It's all a bunch of nonsense, blah blah blah. And then he gets his head racked on an excavator bucket, and now he's like experiencing everything he was talking trash about. And it's like, yeah, dude, people are dealing with this, you know. And so that's why I like what we do here.
Have you ever had a concussion or anything like that?
No. At least I don't think that I've had. I don't think I've ever hit myself hard enough, or I've had you know, like lights were bugging me.
Have you hit your head pretty hard though before?
No. At least not that nothing that's worth remembering.
I've hit my head pretty hard a lot of times. I don't know if it was concussive, if that's even a word, but I remember there's so many times where I've just fallen off my skateboard or just playing on a scooter or something like that and just bam, dude, just knocking my head really hard.
I mean, granted, I did my share of skating. I've never took a ball off the head for baseball, and I played 14 years of baseball.
I have because I was the catcher, so I was right there. So, but I don't think hard enough though during baseball.
No, I don't. Unless it was like because you had your face mask on. So I'm sure if you were to get hit with a ball directly to the face or forehead, that's a lot of trauma.
Yeah, that's way
being
different.
Dispersed right there. But skating, no, I had like lumps on my elbows from I would always fall in the same position. So I had other injuries elsewhere, but nothing. I don't recall ever hitting my head in anything that I've done that was pretty significant to cause any. But I could be wrong. I don't know how hard you have to be hit to have some sort of deformity form on the brain, but
I wouldn't like discourage anybody that's ever had any concussions or anything like that, or even been hit by like a baseball or something like that, like to look into this type of thing and start paying attention to yourself. Like, do you experience these symptoms and stuff? Are you going through something that you didn't even recognize was depression or anxiety or something like that? I think you guys should really like look into it and take a look at your life and your history.
I mean, the one thing I did see, I've seen with my own eyes, is people have drug-induced psychosis.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so maybe some of you've, had your fair share of, drug usage. It might be something worth looking into if you feel off, because I've seen people over the course of me working in the jail, day one I meet them, they seem pretty damn normal. And then after many, booking and releases later, going through the courts, then they come in one day where they're just like, oh, dude, he's on one. And then after they're in the jail for a few days where they have no access to, drugs to keep them in that state of mind, they're still sitting there tripped out. And then they're never the same. And I don't know if there's any recovery from that, because these guys are just like off. Like when you think crazy people, this is like the image that would typically come to mind. These are the behaviors that are displaying.
Yeah. Legit psychosis.
Like just legit, man. Like I'm talking like you walk by at 3 a.m, pitch black, sitting there in their chair with their legs crossed, talking to the bed. Like there's something there with them and their reality that's going on that's obviously not really present.
I thought about that yesterday when I was coming out the grocery store. Somebody was talking to themselves, pushing a cart. I was like, I really want to know the context of that. Like, who do they think they're engaging conversation with, and what is going on in their head? Because it's like, you see this all the time, but we just write it off. We don't really think anything of it, People just like, well, there it is. Like, I guess no one's going to clean it up, But that stuff kind of like, it provokes a lot of thought in my head, and it makes me wonder, like how did they get to this point? Because at one point, this person was just a regular person, At some point in their life, they were a baby, and then all of a sudden you cut to now and they're talking to themselves.
How much time do we got left?
We're at 58 minutes. So about 10 minutes.
So one of the cool things, I would say it was cool, more eye-opening experiences from one of my academies was we had this portion where they were trying to convey to us like what it's like to live with schizophrenia. And they showed us this video of this person going through their day-to-day stuff, and it was like they'd wake up and then they hear like bombs going off, and they check the window, and it was like, the town was in disarray. Then they'd close the blinds and open it up, and there was like birds chirping and people riding bikes. And then just kind of going through the whole day-to-day, just kind of like what it's like to live with schizophrenia. I was like, damn, dude, I couldn't not imagine going through my day-to-day with this many like distractions, Then there was one where I guess most of the hallucinations are auditory. And so they had us like close our eyes, and they played this, and it was just like, dude, this like just nonstop, like, you're garbage, just whispers, and then loud talking about just like you're nothing, you're worthless. Just these nonstop thoughts. It's like, damn, this is what people with schizophrenia like go through on it. The moment they wake up to the moment they go to sleep, and I thought it was like crazy. I could not imagine my day to day, living in that frame of mind. It was crazy, but eye opening.
What's that dude that plays Deadpool? What's his name?
Ryan Reynolds.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so there's a movie with Ryan Reynolds, and I'm not sure if it's on Netflix or Hulu anymore, but it's about him having schizophrenia, and the movie's based on that. It's a really good movie, dude. I think it's super interesting because he's dealing with schizophrenia, but the whole thing is like he's supposed to be taking his meds, and when he doesn't like taking them because it takes away all the voices. He's talking to his dog the whole time in the movie, and they animated and stuff. But he doesn't even realize what he's doing. In his world, he's coming home, and they'll do a cutscene like he walks into his house, it's nice and clean. He'll go in the fridge, he'll grab a thing of milk, pour it in a cereal, and start eating, and then he's just like talking to his dog like it's a great day. And then they do a cutscene to what is really going on, and there's heads in his fridge from him going out on killing sprees, and there's crap everywhere, and it's trash stacked to the ceiling, and
so like
flies.
His reality versus what's actually happening is completely different.
Yeah, but in his head it's fine, and he doesn't want to take the medication because it's like dissolving the world that he knows.
Oh, so him taking the medication,
it scares him.
He sees the heads in the refrigerator and the dirty, crappy house.
Yeah.
So he sees his actual reality. So he doesn't want to. So he keeps living in that.
And the feeling
world
that he gets, he doesn't. It's hard to get used to, because
Yeah,
it's a good movie. I forget what it's called. Just type in Ryan Reynolds movies, and it should just look for the one that. Just type in Ryan Reynolds schizophrenia, and then I'm sure the movie will pop up. It's a good movie though.
But yeah, if you guys want to, those of you that are interested in that video, I forgot what it was, but I'm sure a simple YouTube search, just like living with schizophrenia. And it was like a black screen. There was because you were meant to keep your eyes closed during the whole thing. So,
that's what
But it was honestly just like. It was trippy, dude. It was trippy. Keeping your eyes closed and just listening to this thing play for like 10 minutes. And it's just kind of like, this is what people that deal with schizophrenia have to live with. And it was kind of to give you.
It's sad, man.
It's almost like we have to get, tased or pepper sprayed before being certified to use it. So you can kind of experience what the person you'll be spraying or
to
tasing.
understand.
Yeah, to understand that it's not just a toy.
And defiance.
But so that way, when you encounter people that are in a psychotic episode, or maybe I don't know if like they always deal with like when they're schizophrenic, if it's the moment they wake up to the moment they go to sleep, they're dealing with these hallucinations, or if it comes in waves. But when you encounter these people, that you have I guess you'll never fully understand what they're going through, but at least some indication of what they potentially could. It was eye opening. It was crazy, dude.
Yeah, the dude I used to do the podcast was Victor Jr. That's what he deals with, schizophrenia. So hearing all his stories on it was really interesting. Like he had like 7 people that he would just talk to on a daily basis. And when he started taking his meds and those voices went away, he kind of fell into depression because those voices, some of them were very nice to him. So he didn't have that confirmation anymore. And it was like, he described it as like his friends are gone now, So it's very weird. And the same kind of thing goes with depression. Once people start coming out of their depression and, it's mitigated through medication, they start feeling like something is missing, just because
they were used to that.
They're so used to it, which is, I totally understand that. And it's weird and it's twisted, but it's like,
yeah, well, if that's what you experienced for the better part of your life and it's gone now,
Yeah, because for me, dude, I don't know anything other than my life that I've been living, so I'm interested to see like, what is it going to be like because I've had times where I'm baseline and I'm, and I'm outside, I'm like, wow, this is what it's like to just not have any irritability and depression and eyes. I'm just in the middle, man. I'm good. Like I can do this. Like every day I can get used to this. Granted, not every day is gonna be happy and this, but like to not feel anything like that negative. It's just like I would like to just be here more often.
One of the things that I found interesting too during the academy was we were advised that like men, in particular, males, like from the age of like 17 to like 25, they have like this ridiculous high percentage of just developing schizophrenia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like an alarming number. Like there was nothing in particular that would cause it. I'm assuming it was maybe because you're going through like puberty. And
drug
stuff
will
like
induce it too. Like it'll up your chances.
No, but
use.
No. I'm just saying, just like with no other factors, just from you being age of 17 through 25 as a male, there was like this percentage that you would just wake up one day and you would have schizophrenia.
That's insane. Dude.
Yeah, it was nuts. I was like, well, glad I'm in my 30s and I don't have that, because I couldn't imagine just waking up one day and boom, there it is.
I mean, they say like, yeah, using drugs though, like if it's dormant in your system,
it'll exacerbate it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I was curious to like, if I was gonna already develop bipolar disorder, or if what I went through as a kid just triggered it, either it was gonna happen already or this is what did it, But we'll never know, and I wouldn't trade my life for anything. So, I'm good with what I have, and I'm blessed. I'm happy to have the people I have in my life, and that's what you just got to play your cards, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you can do. You're stuck until reincarnation, like the show we talked about. I don't know. I'm just saying, you gotta roll with the punches, man. So,
yeah, that's life. Slows down for nobody.
Nope.
Do what you got.
So you trying to do another one? It's up to you, man. We don't have to. It's up to you.
Firm, let's go.
Okay, so I'm gonna stand up for this one. This has been another episode of the PO3 Podcast. If you enjoy this content here, I don't know why I'm doing this. If you enjoy this content here, we would greatly appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. And I'm going to plug NAMI right here.
I'm going to do it too. I feel cool now.
I'm going to plug NAMI right here.
I feel like one of those dudes. I don't know what dudes they are, but just dudes that have microphones.
Cry every night for you.
Wow.
Wow. These
All
eyes.
right, guys. It was a good time.
These eyes have seen a lot of love, but they're never going to see a love like they have with you. Anyway, it's been a great episode, man. I appreciate you having your ears wide open for me.
Yeah.
And your heart and everything and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So without further ado, this has been another episode of the PO3 Podcast, where we don't look down unless there's money on the ground.
Just like John's grandma said.
My name is Marcus Marks.
Just John.
Later. Catch you on the next one.
I'll put it back.